Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arancia Naidu, and I am the technical consultant for Discover here in Africa. So today I'm going to be taking you through the Discover mobile app and how it integrates with the desktop and its uses in the field. For the purpose of the webinar, I will have everyone muted until the end of the webinar, and then you can ask any questions that you would like. Okay, so the Discover mobile app is basically can be defined as a field data collection tool that is closely integrated with the Discover desktop. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, we have GPSs, so why would we need the app? And so the reason for this is that it provides a big advantage with its ability to integrate with the Discover desktop seamlessly from your phone. And it's a great way to keep files clean, so you're not dealing with a whole lot of Excel spreadsheets and a lot of CSV files. So the Discover mobile app is available on Android, and it is also now available on iOS. So if anyone would like to download the app, you can if you're on Android, you can find it on the Google Play Store, or if you're on iOS, you'll find it on the iStore. And it is free to download for anyone that has the Discover 2019 version. So as I mentioned before, anyone who's got the Discover 2019 desktop program will be able to have access to the you'll see once I open up the desktop, you'll have access to the mobile tab where you can then import your projects to mobile. If you do not have access to the Discover 2019 desktop program, you will not be able to use the mobile app. You'll be able to download it, but you will not be able to use it with Discover. So what are the user benefits? So firstly, you can take all your GIS data from your desktop to the field. So this includes your grids, so like your topos and your mag grids. You can take images and vector data, points, lines, and polygons. And by using your GPS on your mobile device, you are able to see where you are relative to your data. So instead of just having a normal handheld GPS where you'll just take points as you go, you'll be able to see where you are in the field and take live GPS points. So it's extremely helpful regarding aid to observations in the field or testing the accuracy of historic data. So let's say you have an old georeference map where you've mapped a sandstone and there's in fact a intrusive outcrop. And maybe you and the exploration team have never done extra sampling or mapping in the area and disregarded the area due to inaccurate historic data. This is just one example of how this could be beneficial. But of course, you don't only want to be able to visualize historic data. More importantly, you want to capture new field data. So you'll be able to collect point and line data while in the field and capture it with attributes. So you'll be able to describe the color, what is the rock type, and then you'll even be able to add an image to that particular sample point. You can also record track samples, so the route that you walk there. So you'll be able to track the route that you've walked to get to the sample, so then maybe later samplers can follow the same route that you used. Also, in order to speed up the process of data capture, the user can set up drop-down lists to quickly log data into categories before going into the field. So this increases efficiency and also ensures consistency in which names are spelled. So maybe someone will call something where something should just be $1, right? Maybe another person who logs will think maybe it's a darker dolerite than they're used to seeing or a lighter one. So when you do your drop downs, it ensures that there are specific names that the um, data captures can choose from, and then we have consistency throughout the project. So if you've used Google Maps before, we on Discover mobile app, we have a waypoint finder, and it works the same as Google Maps. If you have a soil sampling group you want to navigate to, and you want to navigate to a specific point or grab sample, then you just use the waypoint finder and it will navigate you towards that sample. Some of the other benefits is that, very importantly, seeing that the bulk of our geologists do work from remote areas, the app is built to work in offline environments. Therefore, all files can work offline, and the app enables you to cache the Google-based satellite or topography maps when you're in the area with good network, and then take them up into the field in an offline mode. The GPS functionality on your device does not require network. It works via satellite. So after field trips, users can then seamlessly merge their data sets back into the desktop, and the Discover mobile project can be distributed to a number of different devices. Therefore, you do not need a license per phone. If you have one Discover desktop application and you have a field team, you can then provide that field team with the same cached mobile project that you've created and distribute it with the loggers. Okay, so this is just going to depict the flow of using the Discover mobile app. So as mentioned earlier, the biggest benefit of the mobile app is the data flow. So we're going from office to the field and to the office seamlessly without any clunky file conversions and other similar hiccups. So what we first start with is the source data. Now, the way the data flow starts in a Discover mobile project is with the source data. This can be a SQL database such as Fusion or Acquire or Access tables. This will typically be a large enterprise files like DTMs or big regions such as provinces or states. A lot of the source data will be read-only, but of course, if we are going into the field, we would like to capture and write into some of those source files, and that is something that we get to determine when we are creating the project, and I will demonstrate a bit later. So the next step is to create a Discover mobile project on the desktop. So we start by creating a workspace, just as you would in any Discover project. This workspace will contain all the required source data, and then you create a mobile project in the software. You'll be prompted to clip out all the data you need. So you don't have to take out all the data. You just clip out the area that you want your field team to look at. And this copy of the source will be read and writable depending on which aspects of the project you would like to be read-only and which you'd like to be editable. It will also put all the objects into a common projection that you have to specify. So if you have a large DTM that covers an entire province, for instance, you can clip out the portion that is necessary into the common projection. Also, it will add metadata to the project data, and if you check data back into the source data, it will merge easily using date stamps and so forth. Once we have checked out the source data created the mobile project in which we clipped out our data sets, next we want to then export this onto our mobile device. So what you can do is, a lot of people maybe use clouds, so like Dropbox or some other cloud-based software, and you can then, once you've checked out the mobile project from your desktop, you can then either put it onto a cloud where your field team will have access to it, or you can take it out save it out as a geo package file, and that can be copy and pasted onto the mobile devices. The next steps after you put the project on your after you've put the project on your phone, either by downloading it off the cloud or by copying and pasting it from your from your machine to your mobile, is you can then start using the mobile app and recording data in the field. Once that data has been recorded, you can then export the project from the app back onto your mobile device, and then uh, you can export that file back into the cloud if you are using cloud-based software to share your mobile data, or you can just copy and paste it back into your Discover folder that you would have created, and then you can then check that data back into um, your desktop. Yeah, so once you've once you've put the mobile data that you've just collected into the field, either back into your cloud, or you've just copy and pasted it back from your mobile phone back onto your machine, you can then check that project back in to your Discover desktop, and then you will need to update the source files. So once you've checked the project back in, you'll be able to browse the files and see that the points you have collected are there, and you will then need to update and append these files back into the source files. Okay, now that we've gone through the presentation, I'd like to actually demonstrate the process of creating the mobile app and then doing some data collection. Okay, so what you'll need to do is you'll open your Discover desktop program. You will then go to, sorry, just a bit difficult to see on the second screen here. Then go to Home and open Workspace. So I'm going to open the project over here. It's taking some time. All right. So here we have the project that we're going to be working on. So as you can see over here, it's made up of multiple maps, polygons. We've got some structural data, some geochemical points, polygons. We even have a historical base map, historical map here, image. You can see there's some streams and roads, etc. And there's our structural data. So this is what we're going to be working with to create our mobile project. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a pick list. So as I mentioned before, when you create a mobile app, you can create a pick list, which is basically a drop-down list that people who will be collecting data in the field have to choose one of the options when they are taking sample points. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Project, Pick List Manager. If I'm going too fast, please click the raise hand button and I will slow down. Okay, someone's raised their hand, so I'm going to go a little bit slower. Okay, so then you should get to this window here that says Pick List Manager. We're now going to create a pick list that we are going to use in our mobile project. So we're going to go Create New Pick List. It's going to ask us what kind of pick list we want to create. We're going to choose points, and we're going to name this pick list Soil _ Horizon. Okay, then we're going to say OK. Then you should get to the screen here where we see the name of our pick list and then an empty style box. So now we're going to say we want to add to our pick list, add new style. We're going to say just a circle. We'll make the color, say, pink. And I think the font is fine. So we're going to say, OK. And we want the code to be soil horizon A. And we're going to say, OK. So now you can see here, we've created our first category in our pick list. So we've got soil horizon A, we've set the style. If you want, you can add a description. It's given us the color, and that's just the font size, etc. So I'm going to add 2 more. Call this one soil horizon B. Okay, but I didn't want it to be black. So we're going to open it up again. So if the color wasn't what you wanted, then you can just come back here and change it again. So we're going to say yellow. Okay. And we're going to add 1 more. The circle, and then we'll make this one green. We'll say okay. Okay, so now we have created our pick list. We've given it a name, and we're going to say save. Okay, once it's saved, we're just going to close. And the next thing we need to do is set up our validation table. So when you're setting up your validation table, you go once again to project, and you're going to come down here to table validation. And what we're working with is Gannon's soil. So this is what we want to be, this is what our main focus, what the field team is going to be looking at when they go out in the field. And we're going to say, okay. Now this is going to show you all the tables that, this is going to show you, sorry, the table for Gannon soils and all the attributes that are in the table. So the reason you want to come here is because this is where you set up the rules for the first stage where you're setting up rules for your mobile project. So here is where you're going to set up your lookup tables, and that is essentially your pick lists. So what we want to do is we just created this one here, soil horizon. So if you remember, we just created a pick list for this. So we're going to go here and we're going to pick soil horizon, which is the one we just created. So now in our mobile project, those 3 categories we created are the only 3 categories that the field team will be able to choose for soil horizon. Okay. So when you look at your table, this is where you're going to be able to see what each of these categories are. So over here, we've got float. So where it's float, there's no lookup table. This is where it'll be populated by the mobile app, and these are your GPS coordinates. For your character columns, so if you go over here, where's this one? Oh, character columns here, they can be filled in from lookup tables or places like where you want to add a photo. You can then add a photo here. Then you've got your date and time that'll be populated by date and time. So the type can be decided here, and wherever you'd like a pick, where you'd like a pick list, you can click on and add any pick list that you had made. For default values here, these will automatically be populated by these values. It will not be able to be edited in the field. You can add map styles to specific categories here. And yeah, so this is the validation, table validation. So once you're happy with the way your tables have been validated, you can then say save, and you will then close the table validation. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we've validated our tables, we've created our pick lists. Now we're going to create our mobile project. So by doing this, all the mobile project applications are under the project tab. So under project, you're going to go to mobile manager and open that. So you can see here, we don't have anything because we have not created a project yet. So what we're going to say is we're going to create a new project. This is a mobile project, and we're going to name it Ganan's. We'll call it webinar. If you want, you can add a description. Then it's going to ask you, where do you want to send this mobile project? So if you had a Dropbox installed on your machine, you can direct it to the folder there. I'm just going to copy and paste over from my desktop to my mobile. So we're just going to go here and say search. I'm going to go discover mobile. And I'm going to say I want it to go into here, Ganan's mobile. And then we're going to say OK. So now it's got the directory where it needs to save my mobile project to. Then what we're going to do is we're going to decide which tables we're going to take into the field. So if there are certain tables here that you do not want to include, you can just exclude them during importing, but I'm going to say take all. So a few things to note. The following map layers are not supported. So legacy surface grids, multiple object vector type grids in a single table, rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, arc, and text vector objects are not supported in the geo package. Then once you've added all your tables, you're going to say next. Now it's going to tell us what do we want as read-only for the field team and what do we want them to be able to edit in the field. So we want them to be able to edit the Gannan soils because that is where they're going to be getting grab samples in the field. So we're going to leave that as we're not going to check that because if you check it, it means read-only. So we're going to check the geochem points. We don't want them to edit structure points. Don't want them to edit the grab samples. Maybe we'll keep the secondary road so I can show you how to do lines on the mobile app, how to do a track if you're tracking your way up to the sample. Leave the workings, interpretation, ore zones, and the structure. So the only thing that the field team will be able to edit is the Gannan soils and the secondary roads. We're then going to say next. Now it's asking us to clip the region. So as I mentioned before, you don't have to take the whole map into the field. So you're going to say draw region, and you'll see this clip region is empty. And we're just going to draw a box over this area. And then we're going to say OK. And you can see it's made that white box over the area we've chosen. Now it's going to show us here what we've taken to go into the field. And in this case, we are using the map projection here that we have chosen. Depending on your area, you will have to choose what the project is projected to. Okay, it's just going to take some time to get the clipped out data. All right. So you can see here it's telling us which tables we've said can be edited, and we're going to say OK. And it says your data project has been successfully created. And we're going to go OK. So now you can see it's showing us this is the project that we will be checking out. We've given it a name, we've told it it's mobile, and we've given it a directory to check out to. So you can see here when it was created, when it was modified, and the projection, and you can see currently it is checked in. So now what we're going to do is we are going to check out this mobile project. So you just come here where it says project check in out or out, and we're going to say check out. And it's going to say all the tables and map windows will be closed. Do you want to continue? So once you check out, you're not going to be able to do anything on this project until it's been checked back in. So we're going to say yes. Do you want to save? Any changes made? I'm going to say no. Okay, we're going to say yes, output directory, check out. We're going to just show it again where we want it to go to. So it'll be here, Discover Mobile, Cannon's Mobile, okay. And then we're going to say okay. Now it's, as you can see here on the left, it's checking out all the files that we just clipped. And it's just creating that geo package. So that geo package will have all the maps, all the points, lines, structures that were clipped in that little white square that we drew earlier. And this does take some time. Yeah, so when you are checking out a project, just keep in mind the more you clip, the longer it will take to export into the geo package. Okay, then we've got a message, your checkout has been done successfully, and we're going to say okay. Now you can see all the source files have been closed, and it says this project has been checked out. So now if I go to my folder. So if I go to my folder here, and if I go Discover Mobile, Ganon's Mobile, you can see here's our geo package. Ganon's webinar. GPKG is the extension for geo package. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just copy this, and I'm going to go onto my mobile device, which is currently connected to my laptop. Here's the folder for my mobile device that I've set up for all my Discover projects. And I'm just going to say paste. Okay, so now that geo package is now here on my mobile device. Right, so then what we're going to do is I'm going to now move over to my mobile so that I can show you how we use the app. Okay, so now I'm just using this mirroring application to show you how we use the app. So this is the Discover mobile app right here, and we're going to open it up. This is what the app will look like once you've opened it. So what we're going to do is we're going to import the project I just copied onto this device. So you go here to import project. It's going to take me into my folder, and you can see right here is the file we just did, Ganon's webinar, and I'm going to click on that, and it's going to start importing the project. I apologize for the watermark. Okay, then it'll say open project, and we're going to say yes. Right, so now it'll take us here. It'll just be a default area of the map. What you need to do is here by these 3 lines, you can click on them, and it'll show you all the files that we have clipped and exported from our desktop into the geo package. So if you'll notice, some of these files here, they either have a pencil or a lock next to the name. If there's a pencil, it means that is a layer that can be edited. If there's a lock, it means that is a layer you've set to be read-only. So if we scroll down, we can see the secondary roads has the pencil, and the Ganon soil has the pencil. Everything else has been locked. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, look at the geochem points. So what you do is you have to select the eye to make the points visible. Select the layer, and then at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a little magnifying glass, and you just click on that and it'll take you to the sample location. So you can see there's all our points for this particular layer. If you want to make the Ganons visible, you just click on the little eye and we can zoom in. So these are points that I took previously on a geo package that I had imported and then exported back. So you can see now that I've exported again, it still has these points here because I had appended them to the source files. What we're going to do now is just make a drone image visible. so that it's a bit more detailed as we go down here. So you can see there's 4 points that I had taken on previous occasions. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the pencil. So once you click on this pencil here, you'll see that this orange circle appears with a plus button. Once you click on that, it'll give you options on what to use, on how to take a point. So if you notice, unfortunately, the watermark is covering it. Right here, there's a crosshair. So when you open your application, you'll see there's a crosshair. Any point that you take will be where the crosshairs are. So now let's say we want to take a point on top of this hill here. Then we'll just click on take point here. We can't take GPS point at the moment because I'm not in this location. So any points that we currently take now will not have a Z value because it's being taken off a exported image and I'm not in that area. So if I take a point now, we're going to say add point. You can see here you can edit the sample ID. So we're going to say so what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's say we're going to make this one web 1. Let's say done. Then we can go down and here's where your pick lists apply. So you can see we can't do a Z coordinate. That's not going to be updated because as I mentioned, we're not in that area. But for lithology, maybe we can say this is a sandstone and the color looked a bit maybe like gray to me. Then here, the soil horizon, this is the pick list that we created. So for example, we'll just say this is soil horizon A. These over here, the auger, -80, Jamison minerals, prospect, those were all default values that we set up. And if you want to add a photo, you can take a photo in the field with your camera, or you can select one from the gallery. And if need be, there can be a date and time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this point. And now a point has been added. So now maybe we want to take a point. I'll just do 2 points because of time. So we'll just say, so sorry, to add a point is this one here. That is to edit a point. So now we're going to add another point. And let's say down here, okay, see, as you can see, it automatically updates the name. I didn't have to type in web2. It does it automatically. Once again, GPS coordinates are there. And we're going to say down here, maybe it is Brecha. And the color is light brown. We'll do soil horizon C. Again, these default values are already populated. We can add a photo or take a photo if we'd like, and then I'm going to say save. So if you needed to do a track map, so let's say you wanted to track the way we got to the sample. So I'm going to take off editing there. I'm going to go down to Vic secondary roads here, and I'm going to click on the pencil. You have to make it visible before you click on the pencil. Then once again, we get that orange circle. And we're going to say we want to start adding a line. So here are samples. So I'm going to say, okay, let's add a node there. Sorry, my device got disconnected. I will reconnect now. Apologies for that. Okay, we're going to go back into our app. Okay, and we're going to say add node. So this is one of the roads here. So maybe we came up through that road. So let's say we're going to add a node there, and maybe we came through there, here, there, and then you joined up with the road there. Okay, so that is how you create a line, and then you can then commit the line to save it, and it even tells you over here the length of the line. So it's in kilometers, but if you go up here to where the 3 dots are, you can go to the settings and you can change it to meters or miles or foot or inches or whatever it is you're working with. You can change the speed, the GPS intervals, your waypoint buffer, and a lot of whether there's a scale bar or not. So this is stuff that you can personalize your app with. Okay, so then I'm not going to commit that line, but I did save the points. So just to show you a few quick things before we export the project back, you do have a ruler function. So while you're out there, if you need to select, just see the distance between points, you can select here, then select there, there, and there, and it'll give you the total distance that the line is from the samples. Then when you're done, you can say finish measuring. Yes. And then just to show you the GPS function, so if I put my GPS on, it was off. And you'll see once it's been put on, there's the little GPS navigator that shows up here. So if I click on that, it's going to take me to where I currently am, which is here at home. And let's say we want to set a waypoint. Maybe I had a sample location up here. So then we can say set waypoint, and then you can start navigation, and it'll give you the distance, how long it thinks it's going to be in kilometers per hour. And when you're done, you can just say finish and say yes. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken our waypoints. Sorry, let me just navigate back here. We've taken our points. If you want to see other stuff, if you want to see the structural data, you can add that in. If you want to see the grab samples that were taken previously, you can make them visible. It's up to you what you'd like to see while you're in the field. For the purpose of time, I'm going to export this project and show you how to append the tables and add the new data to the source files. So if you can recall, in this session, we created 2 points. So we must just keep that in mind for when we check the tables. So now what I'm going to do is going to click on those 3 dots that were up there. And we're going to say export to internal storage, because I'm not using a cloud at the moment. If you are, you can say export to cloud drive. And I'm going to say, so I have a couple projects. So I'm just going to say this is the one for export. And we're just going to change the name. So we're going to say Genan's Web, and we'll say update, and we'll say save. So now it's going to export what we've created. back onto my cell phone. Okay, then it'll take you back to the home screen. So then what we're going to do is we are going to go back to the Discover, and then here on my mobile, just getting to my other folder. Oh, sorry, it was disconnected because of my cell phone, so I just need to open it up again. So when you're saving it on your mobile, just keep in mind you need to save it somewhere that you will be able to find it and locate the folder. So I've got mine here. Okay, you can see now we've got Ganan's mobile update. So I'm going to take this, copy it, and put it here. And this is what we will be checking in. So now when we go back to our mobile, we're going to say we want to check back in the project. We're going to say check in, search for the geopackaged file. So I'm going to go back here to, let's go to desktop. And I'm going to navigate to that folder where I just pasted the updated file. And we're going to say open. So now it says these were the two editable files we had in our mobile geopackage. And then we're going to say, yes, that's right. So any information that we have now put will be checked back in. So we're going to say, okay. We're going to say open. So now we see here is our file that we were looking at. So if we go back to Ganan's soils, and we browse the table, can you see there? We have web 1 and web 2. So those are the 2 points that we added in the field. These points here were on separate occasions when I was using the mobile app. So now what we're going to do is currently this information is just in this clipped version. What we need to do so that it is in our source project is we have to go source, and we're going to say update source. No, sorry, check that, update source. Okay, it's going to tell us, do we wish to continue, because we'll be updating the source files and it's not reversible. And we're going to say yes. And we don't want to save the current workspace. Okay, now it's going to say these were the editable tables that you had in your mobile project. Now we did not edit or save anything for Vic Roads, but we did for the soils, and we did it on sample ID. So then what we're going to say is we're going to say, okay, on sample ID, you need to update Ganon soils. Sure why it's giving me. Oh, it's fine. Can't find those, but it's okay. Close. Okay, and then we're going to say, the reason it's giving me the error is because it can't find these two, but we didn't create them in here, so that's fine. It's going to say exit, and now it would have appended those two projects to the source files. So now when you open the project again, it should have it in there.